Let it be, oh let it be. Well, it is. In this full video song lesson, I'm going to teach you note for note how to play the drums to the song Let It Be by the Beatles, drummed by Ringo Starr, of course. Starting on the and beat 3, we play 6 notes, right, left, right, left, right. And 4, E, and snare, high, floor, floor, snare, floor. Now the problem with this song, for me anyway, for a transcriber, for a teacher, is that the drums have been muted by towels, and so it's very, very difficult to determine whether he's striking a high, a medium, or a floor tom, because they sound so similar to each other. The rhythm's correct, but I can't be 100% sure what toms he's using. But if you watch the video of them playing live in the studio where Yoko Ono is looking rather pointless on the floor doing nothing next to John, there's one scene in the entire video where you see Ringo, typical, biased against drummers, only one scene, and you see Ringo play a drum fill and he kind of plays his right hand on the floor on multiple notes with his right hand. So that kind of made sense to me that he'd play it this way for this part as well, because he's playing multiple hand notes with his right hand anyway, so this drum fill kind of makes sense when you do that, especially when you come back to that snare drum note on the and 4. So again, it's and 4 E and 4 E and If you come up with a different sticking, of course you can use that instead. The other thing you could, the other thing that he probably does, but I don't think he does, but it's a possibility, is that last floor tom note is played on the bass drum. Not every time he plays his signature fill. Definitely sometimes it's definitely the floor tom at the end, but it's so low in the mix it's hard to tell. It might be a bass drum, so we might be playing this and 4 E and bass. That on the of 4 is a bass drum instead. So what he does is something really cool and subtle. He opens the hi-hat ever so slightly on beats 2 and 4 when he strikes a snare drum at the same time. It kind of gets this effect. Very hard to replicate here on electric kit, but I'll do my best. Really open and close very slightly. You're not really accenting it very loudly either. You're playing it very gently. Reminds me of the way Roger Taylor from Queen plays, where he does that signature thing as well. He's like opening and closing that hi-hat on beats 2 and 4. And I wonder whether he got that from Ringo, from this song in particular, because obviously this came before Roger Taylor. It kind of goes down in notage. Down in pitch. That's the correct term. You can tell I'm a drummer and not a real musician. He might play this at the end of beat 1. Or buzz. Very, very hard to hear. You can of course use your imaginations and have fun with it. You can ghost it, double it, drag it, buzz it. So then we move on to verse 4 and we get this overdubbed tom-tom part of the song. I guess you could kind of call it like Ringo's little drum solo. It's certainly random and improvised enough to make it sound like a drum solo. It's not a fixed pattern he's playing every time. So quite interesting, quite tricky, but what he did in the studio is he laid down a basic drum beat, this, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then in a later take overdubbed, over-recorded the tom-tom parts. To create like a layered effect. What we got is we've got 8 bars and each bar is very, very different to each other. Great. Nice one, Ringo. Nice and random for us to learn. 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. I like that. It sort of catches you off guard when you've been hearing da 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 and a 4 E and. It comes in 1/16th note earlier than the previous parts. So it kind of grabs your attention a little bit. Quite a nice little idea. it's very hard to replicate Ringo's feel. So I'm not doing a very good job, I'm sure, but you might do a better job where you can sort of just hear the song a lot of times and replicate that feel that he puts into it. You want to play more, but Ringo doesn't. So that's a sign of a real master, being able to, knowing when to hold back and to not overplay, because he could have played more than that.